first 45 gave Australia a little bit too much respect, and by the time they brought their 2 stars on at half-time, the game had already gone. Aaron Moy, who's played in Ryan Grant there, was one of the goal scorers. His first at international level in 3.5 years. Harry Suter getting some early touches on his international debut. Graham Arnold's a big rap on him.
Well, you had to feel for the visitors tonight, because as they did the pre-match obligatory shaking of the hands.
Just watch how this develops with Lucky on the right. 3 in the box, he might not need any of them. Still with Lucky and Jackson Irvine, I should say, with a shot. It's ricocheting around like pinball in the penalty area. Craig Goodwin trying to get a piece of it. Somehow Nepal survive that little flurry. That's more by luck than judgment, but they've turned it over again. It's going to be a free kick for the foul advantage.
Well, this will be the first test from the set piece, which is going to be bread and butter, you'd imagine, for Harry Suter. But beautiful work from Matthew Leckie. Lovely turn, so sharp to get through once and then twice, leaving Tamang in his wake, and then the ball ricocheting. It's not been a really comfortable start from keeper Kiran, the captain of the team. A couple of fumbles, Australia couldn't profit. It really should have been cleaned up by the goalkeeper, and all the pressure should have gone.
And the pressure is still very much alive for Nepal. Harry Suter shaping as a towering presence, looking to get on the end of Moy's free kick. He goes along the ground. Craig Goodwin drives it low. It's in now. Jamie McLaren. It's taken a touch over 5 minutes, and the Melbourne City striker has just his 2nd international goal, and Nepal's resistance has been broken early.
Well, a good variation from Australia. Everyone's expecting the ball to go to 23, Harry Suter. But they go short. Goodwin fires it in. Another ricochet, the 3rd already. This time the Socceroos profit. Keeper again languishing on the near post. Unfortunate for him, great for Jamie McLaren.
Well, as they did in Kuwait, they've got the early goal, Kevin Muscat.
Yeah, much to McLaren, Jamie's form in the pre-season with his club side.
Could be in again here, sorry Muskie, it's Jamie McLaren again. This one is charged down, top of the box, Goodwin with the cross. This could be a long night for Nepal, Kevin.
Yeah, and as I was saying, Simon, he's a big part of Jamie's game. He's picking up those positions in the box, and that one there, obviously off a set piece, but for him to be able to be the first to react gets him a tap in and an easy goal. But those easy goals add up to you're building your tally throughout the season.
He's a real poacher, isn't he? He scored 6 already in this year's FFA Cup, and he was the Johnny on the spot for the rebound off Kiran Chemjok. So a great start for Graham Arnold's team. And they are, as expected, dominating this match already. That's a little bit of rye though from Milligan. Bit of relief for Nepal.
Yeah, and all the expectation from that first set piece was that Harry Suter was going to be the target, standing over 2 metres, and you had to feel for Nepal players in the, as I was saying, the obligatory pre-game shaking of the hands. They must have thought they were queuing up to be extras in an episode of The Addams Family. I mean, they would have craned their neck trying to find the top of Mount Suter.
Found a new nickname for him already, Holmes.
Running off your lead, Simon, as usual.
Here he is, the big man from Fleetwood Town, where he's on loan from Stoke City. Plays under Sir Joey Barton, of course, for Fleetwood. Eddie Wright, perhaps a little bit rusty. He's not played an awful lot of football. In fact, that's an understatement at club level for Bristol City. Just 72 minutes all season. He's been suffering with an injury. Those 72 minutes came back in August against Birmingham City. This is Leckie. He's been busy early on. He's juked his way past Ranjit, the Nepalese left back. The referee Alkatiri will bring them back for a free kick.
It's such a feature of Matt Leckie's game as a Socceroo when he plays further up the field than he does in the Bundesliga, starting in a wide position, and he drifts into that inside right channel, picks the ball up, turns and faces the defender or the line of defence, and defenders don't know whether to go with him or sit. Invariably they don't. He picks the ball up, can turn and run at them, and causes a lot of trouble from that position.
Is this going to be the in-swinger from Goodwin or the out-swinger from Moy? It's the former. Suter was waiting. It's off the bar, off the post, I should say, from Jackson Irvine, who's been close to a couple of goals already. We've not even played 10 minutes.
Another ricochet as well. It is literally like a pinball machine in there. And just to Kevin Muscat's point, again Muskie, Jamie McLaren, uncanny positioning, just can't quite get on top of that one.
And with Jamie as well, normally if teams are higher, he loves it when teams are a little bit higher because he's got the pace and he's also got he makes great runs to get in behind people and use his speed. But when you're playing against such opposition where there are a lot of people as Nepal are tonight, it's those instances where he's really going to get his touches and his goals and his strikes on goal.
There's a good touch by Sujal Shrestha. He's done well to win it back briefly. He's scrapping with it. Aaron Moy. Ryan Grant goes clear. Abhishek Rizal is now unceremoniously brought to ground by Ranjit. Just a little bit too quick for the left fullback. He's Australia's left fullback, Aziz Bayic. He's struggling for game time himself with his club team in Turkey. Perhaps no surprise, Harps. His competition for the left-back berth is Gael Clichy. Tough.
It's a little bit difficult. That's a cheap turnover by the aforementioned Aziz Bayic.
Vishal Rai has handed the ball straight back to Australia.
He gets away with that. Maybe for now. I sort of hope that the referee gets him in a stoppage of play because it's just a blatant denial of an attacking opportunity. And there's enough police fans here going to get a lot to shout about tonight. That would have been one such moment.
Says Mark Milligan. Already seems to be embroiled in a relegation battle with his new club Southend United in the English third tier. Grant short for Lecky. Moy. Strongly stringing the passes together. Will. This will be no surprise either to Graham Arnold or to Johan Carlin. Milligan. Just trying to probe and find the gaps. It's a deep set defence at the moment. Bailey Wright. Encouraged forward by the lack of pressure on the ball. Jackson Irvine did well to ride that challenge from Vishal Rai. Bayic slips on the greasy top. Not the first player to do that tonight. Ryan Grant's done it as well. And now a chance for Nepal to break forward. Anjan Vista, their two-goal hero, but Bailey Wright's too strong for him. And legally so, though, in the opinion of the referee, who was well placed, Andy.
Yeah, a little bit sloppy from the Socceroos. I don't know that the passing's quite the way it needs to be for momentum purposes, Kevin. The passes are going straight to feet instead of inviting teammates to attack space.
And picking up what you said earlier, Hubson, just watching Nepal, they weren't as deep as maybe anticipated prior to the game. They seem to have a back four that's middle of the half of their own defensive half, and having a lot of bodies trying to outnumber the Australians with 5 players in midfield. And when they were early on prior to the goal, cutting out those passes, they had the extra man or two in that area to keep possession of the ball.
Well, this is risky. Almost turned over by Dines. So credit to them, they try to play out from the back. Nepal play their football, and they've coughed up a free kick. Scored by Milligan. Ball by Australia. which perhaps gives us the chance to bring in Robbie Slater, who's got the pitch side view tonight. What's your early take, Robbie?
Yeah, good stuff from the Socceroos. Graham Arnold's off his bench quite a few times already. He wants the players, you can hear him, he's moved the ball quicker, and he wants Lecky to particularly tuck inside and open that space for Ryan Grant to get down, and you see him going really high and wide early when the Socceroos get the possession. But yeah, look, I think he's reasonably happy, but yeah, he's up and he wants him to move that ball quicker and try and get it into that front line as quick as possible.
Goodwin's trying to do that. Lecky top of the box. Here's Moy, no way through on the first occasion. And a bit of breathing space for Nepal.
Yeah, they'll grow into the game, the Socceroos. Just a couple of little sloppy moments. And of course, they're going to be a little bit apprehensive in these early stages, despite their dominance, not to get hit on the counter-attack. And even some of Graham Arnold's instructions to his players about repositioning, calling Aziz Beige to drop a little bit deeper when they're in possession is part of that mentality of just make sure we don't get embarrassed, get put back on our heels because of an error and a breakaway effort on our goal.
It's the closest that Matty Ryan has come to being involved in the action. He's got a clear side to the ball. Could be a quiet night for the Brighton and Hove Albion goalkeeper. It's a clean sheet. Their latest win over Tottenham in the English Premier League. Big win that for the Seagulls. There's Nanta Tamang. Can't pick out a teammate. Beige. Through Milligan. Right. Driven backwards by Sujal Shrestha. Moy, Beige hugging the touchline. Goodwin has drifted infield. Moy, plenty in the box for Australia. They can find the angle. It's beautifully played by Goodwin. Off the run of Moy. Nepal can't clear their lines. More pressure looming. Lofted into the box by Irvine. Cushion header by Grant. Brought down by McLaren. Set up again through right. Grant to try and hit the byline. And it's a corner off Ranjit.
Oh, well done by Ranjit, because Ryan Grant's effort to open his body, let the ball roll across, and so that he could face forward, gave him that half yard right on the edge of the box. And he very often capitalises on those little bits of space to hit in a telling delivery, but Ranjit did very well. Number 21 for Nepal.
Here he is again, Harry Suter. Let's see if Nepal have planned for the big man from Fleetwood Town. Goodwin's delivery. Sutar's up there. Get another corner for his troubles.
Crowded them out nicely. It's an extraordinarily difficult defensive assignment. Let's make no bones about it. Goodwin swinging the ball in. It's got dangerous curl on it. And they're not going to be able to match him for elevation. So just crowd him out. See if he can block his run to the ball.
Goodwin's come short. Moy, the conventional delivery. Good fist away this time by Kieran Chemjong, who's had a tricky opening quarter of an hour. That's to say the very least. Irvine. 2 assists against Kuwait, Jackson Irvine. 2 good chances to score himself in the early stages tonight. A roar of approval as target over halfway. Shape of Ravi Paswan.
What the Socceroos have succeeded in doing so far is, which is not to be unexpected really, but they've not allowed Nepal to get any consecutive passes. The type of football culture from which they come, in a small side of football, futsal is a very big part of their football matrix, and given a little bit of space in the likes of Anjan, Bista, Bishal.
Goodwin, too deep for McLaren. Drop here though for Ryan Grant. Potentially for Beige. Goodwin, Moy, good first touch. Took him clear of the defender. Made back heel by Irvine. Into the box by Beige. Ryan Grant back close. It's 2. And it's a double for Jamie McLaren. Couldn't miss from there really. And the sort of form he's in, doesn't seem to be missing too much at all.
Well, typical from Ryan Grant, the number 4. He loves getting on the end and getting in behind the defences that's lined up. Very, very smart piece of play by the Sydney FC man to head the ball back across the goal. And Jamie McLaren has found that space again. Notts home for his second, Australia's second, as is Bajic with the initial delivery. Very clever play from Ryan Grant and a tidy finish from Jamie McLaren.
And much to what we've seen right throughout the game, there was actually one fullback in Bajic swinging the ball in, and it was Ryan Grant, the other fullback on the other side, putting it back across the box. So, all the width, throughout this opening stanza has been from the two fullbacks, as we mentioned. And as Robbie mentioned earlier also, it's because Leckie and Goodwin are starting out wide and then bringing their fullbacks inside nice and narrow, allowing that space for, as we said, Bajic and Grant to get forward.
Jamie McLaren has profited nicely from those manoeuvres. Could be a case of fill your boots on tonight. He'd only scored one international goal before this evening in Canberra. That was against Palestine at the Asian Cup. He's now got 3. He's already on a hat-trick. We just played 20 minutes. Sutar. Useful touch again by Irvine. It's in good nick. Here's Moy with a cutback. It's Jackson Irvine. They charge it down this time. In the shape of Devendra Tamang. Nepal look very vulnerable every time Australia go forward. Here's Ranjit down the left. Just squirms away from Abhishek. The result? He's going to be the furthest forward Nepalese player tonight. People will slip through. Jackson Irvine, McLaren sniffing a treble. Not quite. Scored in every round of the FFA Cup. His Melbourne City team, of course, are into the final of that competition. Will be a big season ahead for him. Eric Lombard's team. Frankly, he'd have been disappointed had he missed the 2 chances he's converted tonight. That's what being a striker's all about, Harps. You remember well, being a former one yourself, being in the right position.
Very, very distant now.
Here's Leckie, who sneaked in behind, trying to tee up Irvine. Taken away by Anto Tamang. This is Dinesh Razbansi. Ball away just too cheaply when they do have it, Nepal, which is not too often. Good challenge though from Jan Vista.
Terrific recovery from Matt Leckie, and just in that little exchange you can see the difference in the athletic qualities of both sets of players in that one little snapshot.
Come again, Bajic couldn't reach it, Aramoy, deflection. Kieran Chemjong is grateful to see that one deflect behind for another corner.
What a joy it is, even just 20 minutes in, to be watching Aaron Moy in the flesh again. He's such a clever player. Another ricochet to protect the Nepal goal.
Suter got on the end of the last corner delivery from Goodwin on this side. Let's see if he can do so again. He does. He scored on international debut. Harry Suter, remember the name, from Fleetwood Town. And his mum Heather, born in WA, will be super proud at this very moment. He grew up supporting Australia. His brother plays for Scotland. He's just scored his first international goal for the Green and Gold.
Well, you're compounding the problem They were doing well against Harry Suter when they surrounded him. And they're sort of in the proximity, the Nepal defenders, but they're not nearly tight enough. And it's just too dangerous a prospect with that extraordinary height advantage. Nice corner in, and he breaks his duck on debut on his first visit to his new home country.
Roman, the big fan, the big Harry, told us pre-game that Suter grew up with posters of Socceroos on his wall. I wonder if one of them was Kevin Muscat.
Doubt it very much so.
But you never know. Already the game looks well out of sight for Nepal. 3 goals on the scoreboard, 72% possession for Australia, 10 shots already.
And at least as many ricochets besides.
Here's probably the most telling stat. 188 passes completed for Australia, just 49 for Nepal. At least they're in a good field position here. Ranjit's throw for Anjam Vista. Ricochet favours Sujal Shrestha, but he's run out of real estate. And that's a big win over Spurs in the Premier League, along with teammate Matt Ryan for Brighton. Milligan, classy release for Goodwin. Behind him is Bajic. Milligan available again. Ryan Grant is bombing forward down the right, unmarked. Craig Goodwin gets the head up, tries to pick out either Lecky or Grant. There's an acrobatic punch away from Kiran Chenjong. And now Nepal will look to counter, but Harry Suter's got that one covered, you'd fancy. Moy. That's good stickability, if that's the word, from Anjam Vista. Showing willing to roll up the sleeves. Well, he's got short sleeves on, but you know what I mean.
Well, he'll be able to look back at the end of this game and say, I beat a Premier League player one-on-one. And Aaron Moy no less. Still, in my opinion, one of the most talented players, even at that exalted level.
Involved again. Irvine about to pull the trigger. It's a good challenge, in fact, from Ananta Tamang, who's maybe hurt himself in the process. Has to get back focused quickly. Ball lofted into the air. Goalkeeper Kiran is out to claim safely this time. Those early moments involving Kiran Chenjong, their captain no less, probably didn't do much to steady the nerves of Johan Carlin. There might have been 2 goals down before the first one went in from McLaren.
Well, that's his first clean take, Simon. It's a good point you raised, because he's the most experienced player in the team, not just the captain. 60 caps, and it's a very young team, this Nepal team. It's your elder statesman to whom you look to settle the nerves, and of course he found the opening exchanges a little bit too much. That was a very clean take on the back of that diving punch pass, if I can call it that way. I call it that. Very effective goalkeeping from him, but it's taken a while for him to find his mojo.
High ball into the box is allegedly his big weakness, so Socceroos obviously did their homework. Here's Moy, into a dig here. The Sky's ball instead, beautifully done. Bajic, it's that man Ananta Tamang again to the rescue for Nepal.
It'll be interesting to see how Nepal set up here. The majority of the corners so far have all been in-swingers from Australia, identifying, putting the ball into areas, and they've zoned throughout the first corners and been punished a couple of times, and interesting to see how they set up here.
The edge not offside, as you saw from that replay. Moy's delivery drops for Suter. The whistle is gone. Relief for Nepal. Nepal.
I think a handball there. Before it got to the corner, Azizbej with a good raid up the left-hand side. This is the resultant corner, and it's a handball there on Bailey Wright, well picked up by the ref. But Aziz had a fantastic opportunity, rather than playing the ball square into the 6-yard box, to cut it back to Jackson Irvine, who's run into the penalty area, and his prop was perfect. And Aziz just didn't quite see it. Well, these are the solutions we get further down the track that the likes of Aziz, Kevin, are going to have to find and mix things up with their delivery.
Yeah, and it's clear to see as well that the fact that the fullbacks in Beige and Grant are getting forward, what that does allow is us to get a lot of Australia to get a lot of bodies into the box, because all of a sudden Goodman, McLaren, Leckie and Irvine at times, and even Moy get into the box for those crosses.
By Milligan to Harry Sutar. Never mind his height, he's probably feeling about 10 feet tall at the moment. Just scoring on international debut. Moy. Australia get moving immediately. Ryan Grant's trying to chest it down into the path of Leckie. Quite. Tamang swept it away. Off the head of Wright. Touched back by Leckie. Disguised pass by Moy. Good work in tight spaces by Matthew Leckie. Beige will continue his run. Just clip the ball up and onto the hand of his opponent, Vishal Wright. Free kick. Irvine leaves it for Goodwin. Beige. At times they just have too many options, Australia. They found the gap for Moy. He's dragged down the edge of the box, not a free kick, easy decision.
Yeah, this is starting to look particularly worrying. So Nepal have been set up, they're covering spaces reasonably well. Their links to each other's teammates defensively are good. The coaches set them out nicely, but individually now they're lacking that intensity. Australia making unchallenged progress right up the field, plenty of space starting to be found, or gifted really right around the penalty area. And I'll get in before you, Simon. There's a potential avalanche awaiting.
Bobo. Farah Moy fancies this.
That's 2-1 to me.
Yeah, you're winning. And Moy, the wall did its job. Flicked up and over, other corner.
Do we have, if we don't, we should start keeping them stats for ricochets. This is double figures at least. Good defensive wall, credit to it. Leapt in unison, glanced the ball over.
Sutar waiting again in a good position. Moy's delivery. And it'll pop for Milligan, who somehow finds a gap. The goalkeeper just hit him, I think. Kirat, he's grateful it did. Came through a whole crowd of players.
But that was a better defensive set. Firstly, from the defensive wall, commented on that. Then Rohit does excellently to clear the ball. Milligan does brilliantly to make space. And this is really soft handwork from the goalkeeper. That's bounced off another metre in the opening 2 minutes. But he's really found himself now, thankfully, for the sake of the contest, the Nepal keeper and captain.
He was the I-League goalkeeper of the year back in 17-18 for Chemjong. So he's got a bit of pedigree. Here's Leckie, being pursued by Sujal Shrestha. Working back through Milligan. Grant aren't always available. Flips it up in the air, could be another chance of offside against Craig Goodwin. Wouldn't have counted.
Well, this has worked beautifully, and this is a part of Ryan Grant's game that doesn't get enough comment. The quality of the touch. Firstly, made the space beautifully. That is a delightful pass. Jackson Irvine was the man offside, correctly adjudged as such by the assistant, and interfered with play by jumping at the ball there. Craig Goodwin was legal, but it was Jackson Irvine who was offside. But excellent work, beautiful touch on that. Delivery from Ryan Grant, outstanding work.
Good pick up, Hobbs. Grant has beaten McLaren. Looking at the clock and thinking if we can get through to half time perhaps without further damage, we can reset. It has been one-way traffic. Nepal yet to register a single shot.
Kevin, I'll ask you this question. And Australian teams don't face the same physical athletic gulf between us and our opponent's national team or club. I'm thinking now particularly through Champions League experience. However, when you get a sec.
Here's Bajic, up next to the defender, looking for McLaren. Good take again by Kieran. He is grown into the game.
I think this is another example of Aziz making great ground. And he has options rather than across the line of the penalty area to cut it back to oncoming midfielders. He attacks with great instinct, Aziz Bajic, and he's just got to get, the team has to get him to find a better end product, because look at the queue of gold shirts around the penalty area. So Kevin, I'll just get back to you on that. On the times in Champions League matches when you're up against, say, the Japanese clubs, fantastic Korean athletes, Japanese athletes, how do you address that, which is Nepal's issue at the moment from the bench?
Yeah, you're probably right.
Get your thoughts in a minute, Muskie, because Australia building another attack. Goodwin headed away by Nanta Tabang. On you go, Muskie.
You're right. The gulf between us travelling across in the Champions League is not as big as what we're witnessing tonight, without doubt. But particularly away from home with the different conditions, and the key is what you're trying to. What you try to eliminate that by is having more possession, and that's something that we've clearly got here tonight, is an abundance of possession. And going forward, when we're playing against better teams, the emphasis has got to be to remain or to keep that type of possession, because as we've seen tonight, I mean, Nepal have dropped off 20-30 yards further than they did in the first 5 minutes after their first goal. So you're trying to negate it by firstly keeping more possession.
Kieran's got to be quick here. He'll be best advised to get it out of play, which Ranjit does.
Yeah, so mainly that possession halves is 9/10, and I think that the further you go up and the harder teams that you play against, we don't look to that possession as valuable as it is clearly here tonight for us.
This time by Milligan. Jan Bista felt the full weight of this. National hero after scoring those 2 goals against Chinese Taipei in the last qualifier. Plays for the Manang Marshangdi club, who are the champions of Nepal. That's Bista. A competition that only just restarted last year after a 5-year hiatus.
And I was just going to chime in with that, Simon. You'd reported that, and it's of course widely reported, but that's part of the context for tonight. The bulk, 99% of these players are ensconced in their domestic league, and it's been completely on again, off again, mostly off again recently. So to prepare a national team from that backdrop, very, very difficult assignment. That they're at all competitive is a credit to them.
That's perhaps why Anjan Bista earns a bit of extra money, though he is on the ball, rather casually so, as a singer.
Well, I was going to say, he's like Nepal's Joey Seed. Is he going to take a leave of absence and go and start a rap career? You never know.
You never know. Joey ABC. It will not feature in the new A-League season, which of course kicks off tomorrow night in Adelaide. Adelaide United against Sydney, the cup holders against the champions. Can't wait for the new campaign. It's going to be a great season. Touch and turn by Goodwin. He's seen a lot of the ball. Advantage played. Goodwin again with the cutback, looking for Leckie. Might still drop for him. And he pumped away. Milligan drove it straight into Devendra Tabang. Australia buzzing around the box again. A slip by Leckie. Moy pumps it goalwards. Vishal Rai got the full brunt of that one and has remained down inside the penalty area. Might have even got it full on the noggin, I think. Vishal Rai, but Australia were just peppering the Nepal goal there.
Well, the Aussies pumped a couple of heavy hits into the penalty area. Milligan doesn't muck around. I mean, there's a